All right, everybody. We're going to talk about measures of central tendency. This is usually everybody's favorite section because this is when we go back to like mean, median, and mode. Mean, of course, means average. Okay? And so when you're taking the average of something, you're going to take the sum of values and then divide by the number of values that you have. So for example, if they said, here's an insurance company, and the insurance company took account of the costs to repair each car. And so there were 4 cars, okay? And so the costs were $411, $441, $454, and $210. So I want to know the average cost. What's the average cost of repair? So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to add all of these values up. When I add all of the values together, I get 379. So that is the sum of all values. I'm sorry, I don't get 379. I'm sorry. I get 1516. 1516. Then I have to divide that by the number of values that I have. And the number of values that I have is 4. So 1516 divided by 4 is 379. And so 379 is the average cost for repairs. Okay, to find the median is the middle term. The very first thing you want to do is you want to put the values in order from least to greatest, okay? And so usually, unfortunately, we do most of the time give you our values out of order. So that's the very first thing you want to do. Then, if you have an odd amount of numbers, let's say if I give you 7 numbers or 15 numbers, if you have an odd amount of numbers, then the median is the one that's directly in the middle. That one's not hard. But if you have an even amount of numbers, then you have to take the 2 values in the middle, add them together, and divide by 2 in order to get your median. Okay? So let's look at the values from the car again. Okay, here were the values that I gave you before. 411, 441, 454, and 210. So the very first thing I did was put them in order from least to greatest. So 210, 411, 441, and 454. Then, since this is an even amount, I'm going to take the 2 numbers in the middle because I have an even amount of numbers. I'm going to take the 2 in the middle, add them together, and then divide by 2. When I add these together, I get 852. Divide that by 2. The median is 426. That is the median for this set of data. Okay, mode. Mode is the value that shows up most often. So if you look at our set of data, none of these values repeat itself. So because none of these values repeat itself, there is no mode. Okay? But if you have another set of data, example, if I had like 1, 2, 4, 2, 3, 2, 4, something like that, okay? This one, since 2 shows up most often, the mode would be 2. Okay? Another example. Let's say I had 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? The number 1 and the number 2 show up the same amount of times. And because of that, 1 and 2 are your mode. This is what we call bimodal. You can have more than one mode as long as the values that repeat itself equal each other. So 1 shows up twice, 2 shows up twice. So therefore they're bimodal. Be careful with, let me show you something. If I had 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 4. In this case, the mode is just 3. I know that 1 and 2 repeat itself, but remember, it's always the one that repeats itself most often. And if there's a tie, then it's bimodal, or it can even be trimodal, and so on, okay? Okay, now I want to talk to those, if you have a TI 83 or 84 calculator, I kind of wanted to give you some insight on what you can do with it. If you don't, it's okay. You can still do it with your scientific calculator, the long way like I showed you. But if you have an 83, 84, I want to show you what this $100 calculator can do. And also, you can also do this on an Excel spreadsheet if you're comfortable with Excel, okay? But if you have a TI 83, 84 calculator and I asked you, hey, I want you to tell me the mean, median, and mode for the pH level for tap water. So here's all the information for tap water. what you can do is you can go to Stat on your calculator. There's a button that says Stat, and it is located right under the Delete button. Okay, so you're going to hit Stat, you're going to hit Enter for Edit. Enter for Edit. Okay, and you should see some tables like List 1, List 2, List 3. You want to make sure, that's a 3, you want to make sure that your tables are empty. So what you can do to empty your tables is hit Stat, to clear your list. If there's stuff in your list, you should see like a black highlighting kind of box, and it moves whenever you hit the arrow buttons. I want you to hit the arrow button until the black box is highlighting List 1. Then hit Clear and Enter, and it'll clear your entire list. And then if you have to move the box over to List 2, then go ahead and do that. Hit Clear and then Enter, and then it'll clear out the entire list. Once that's done and your lists are clear, what I want you to do is I want you to type in all of these values into List 1. So you would have 7.64, enter, 7.45, enter, 7.45, enter. So I want you to list them all out, all under List 1. Okay, and keep going, all the way in List 1. Once I'm done typing them in, I just hit my up arrow and go all the way back to the first point that I put in and just kind of scroll down to make sure that all of them match all of the numbers in my table, to make sure I didn't mess up when I put them in. And all of mine look good. So after you're done and all of your values are in List 1 and you made sure they're all nice and neat and you didn't mess up putting them in, then I want you to hit Stat again. And this time, I want you to hit the right arrow so that Calc is highlighted. Calc. Okay? And then I want you to hit number 1. And number 1 says 1 var stats. 1 var stats, which means 1 variable statistics. Okay? And if you hit that, when it's under 1 var stats and you hit enter, it'll bring 1 var stats to your home screen, and then just hit enter again. Okay? And if you do that, all of this data appeared. Okay? All of this data appeared. And the very first thing that you should see is X bar, and it says 7.521 and a whole bunch of sixes, and it just keeps going. This right here, you guys, this X bar, that's your mean. So your mean is 7.52. If it and you round it to whatever it wants you to round it to. So I'm looking at mine, and mine says to round to the nearest thousandth, so it would be 7.522, because the number after the 1 is a 6. So I rounded to 7.522. Okay? Then it asks, okay, what's the median? I want you to hit the down arrow. And if you hit the down arrow right under Q1, there's a lot of data there, so just hitting down, right after Q1 you'll see MED. Well, MED stands for median, so it found the median for you. It was 7.495. So what's so cool about that is I didn't even have to worry about putting it in order. I didn't have to, put anything in order, take the middle 2, divide by 2, because you would have to do that here because you got 12 values. So I didn't have to do all that. My calculator did it for me, okay? Unfortunately, the only thing you won't do in this area is your mode, okay? You're going to have to look at your values. Which one shows up most often? Sorry. I see 7.45. I don't see another 7.45. I see 7.47, 7.47, 7.47. I think I'm going to go with 7.47. Okay? You have any questions about that? Okay, I just want to kind of briefly revisit shapes of the distributions. If your shape is symmetric, that means that your mean, your median, and your mode are all equal to each other, okay? So when we have skewed data, this one right here, for example, your average is going to be greater okay, than your median, because here's your median right here in the middle, right? Well, all of your values over here, so isn't your average going to be greater than that? And here, your average is going to be below the median. So it's just something to think about. It's just kind of really easily visually seen, but I just wanted to kind of review that with you. Let's do one more example. Okay, let's look at this problem because I really like it. It says a professor has recorded exam grades for 10 students in his class, but one of the grades is no longer readable. If the mean score in the exam was 80 and the mean of the 9 readable scores is 86, what is the value of the unreadable score? So before, the mean value of all 10 students was 80. Okay, so then you take one away, and the mean value of the 9 is 86, and you took the one away that you couldn't read. So I want to know the value of that score. And it happens to me all the time when I'm actually physically grading, because I put a number on it so fast, and then I'm like, what was that number? Was it 82? Was it 83? Like, I couldn't read my own handwriting. Imagine that. Okay, so how are we going to figure this out? Well, hopefully you've written down this problem. Let me clear the screen. Okay, we all know that in order to find your mean, which is symboled with X bar, you're going to take all of your values, so score number 1 plus score number 2, all the way to score number 9, because that's how many we can read, right? And then we have to divide by 9, right? So we know that that score is, what was that score? All right, let me make sure I wrote it down. Was 86, right? So 86 equals that. Okay, now let's call that XR, and that's this. This is that. That is the mean of the readable scores. Okay, let me fix something here. That is, back to black, this. That's XR. So this is still XR over 9, okay? So to get XR completely by itself, we're going to have to multiply by 9. I have no idea what 86 times 9 is. Let me check. 86 times 9 is 774. So I have 774 equals XR. Now let's look at the total scores, XT. We know that XT is the first score, second score, all the way to the 10th score that we couldn't read. And we're still going to have to divide that by 10, okay? Now we know that XT was 80. So to get the sums by itself, I'm going to multiply both sides by 10. And I get 800. So So we had 774, and that was only with the 9 scores. Now we have 800, and that's with the 10 scores. So if you subtract them, 800 minus 774 will give you the value of the 10th test. So 800 minus 774, 26. 26 is the value of the unreadable score. It's a pretty bad test grade if it's a test grade. All right, so hopefully this was helpful. If you have any questions, just feel free to let me know. Thanks. Bye.